Hello and welcome back to Pixel Street Videos, where today me and John are going to talk your ear off about Dying Light 2 and about whether it is or is not worth your money.
Yeah, for sure. We got the game about 2 weeks early before it released. This review is coming out 4 days after it went public. So
Yeah.
some of you may be getting towards the end of the game. Some of you may have beaten it already. But uh, yeah, are we gonna get into spoilers here?
Well, I say we talk for like 10 minutes non-spoilers and then just talk spoilers
Okay, so we'll give a
because
warning when it's time
like
for
if you
spoilers.
if you haven't seen already, we have a first impressions video up of the game, and that's more or less probably what we're going to reiterate here is more of the same stuff. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, the game kind of stays on the same course after that.
yeah.
I was expecting it does get a lot more open and everything, and that aspect of it is really nice. But as for my enjoyment levels, they kind of just stayed the same throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of hoping that those decisions that we were talking about before would play out, towards the end game, but it really
Hmm.
doesn't seem like they do at all. Now,
No,
once we get into spoiler stuff, there is one thing that may have, but I think it was just the game being broken for me, and I kind of talked to you about it last night, but we'll go into that in spoiler stuff. But yeah, overall, the game just what you see is what you get. Like what you're playing in the
mhm.
first 5-10 hours is what you're gonna be playing for probably 30-ish hours, I'd say.
Yeah, the big difference is once you get out of Old Villador, which is the starting area, and get into the central loop, the area gets much more vertical because you're in a city with skyscrapers and everything, and you can climb them. There's also a lot more room to run around and everything. But yeah, as for like the game content itself, you keep making the reference that this is pretty much an electrician simulator. There's a
Yes.
ton of electrical missions, a ton of run around here and kill this zombie, kill these renegades. It maybe do a big decision here or there, but they don't really pay off that much, in my opinion.
Yeah. I found that it was almost like every other mission to where they're like, "Hey, go turn the power on in this building so that then we can go do the thing we need to do." It's like,
Mhm.
what the fuck? Like, can nobody else turn power? Can nobody else plug a cable in this building? Can nobody
Yeah,
else go flip the switch in the basement? Like,
yeah.
come
So
on.
just focusing on the story itself, it's pretty bland. It's meh. It's nothing special. It's not the worst thing ever. There are definitely worse stories out there, but this
Oh
is
yeah.
definitely not as big of a story as they were like making it out to be. It's it's really forgettable in all honesty, and I've looked through all of the different choices and everything, and there's just not much differentiating one side from the other. Maybe a few people die and a few people live, but other than that, it's nothing that important. Regardless, you're gonna come out with the same ending at the end, and it's one of those, hey, do you want to do this or do that? And then it still goes down the same path
Yeah.
after that.
I mean, the game definitely sets itself up pretty well for either a sequel or DLC. Me and John
Hmm.
talked last night. Apparently, they're planning on supporting the game for 5 years. Now,
Yes.
whether that is going to be like story DLC adding on, or something crazy like Dying Light 1 had that whole castle prison thing we did. Do you remember that?
Hmm.
When me and Kate, that was actually really fucking cool, and I wish we played more of it. But
Yeah, I imagine that this will have at least a couple expansions to it as time goes on. The first game did, and they've been supporting that game for 7 years now. They've definitely proven that they are down to support this if the community is behind it. And this game has already hit like it's like in the top 10 of highest concurrent players on Steam or something ever, something like that. It's been a massive success, which is awesome. I love Techland and everything. Just don't go into it expecting an amazing game. It's really good and it's really fun, but as you said earlier, it's what you see is what you get.
it more or less it's more Dying Light 1. So if you like the first one, you're gonna like this one. Like there are
Yep.
minor things, like there's a stamina bar in this because somebody at Techland played Breath of the Wild.
The
Um,
first one had a stamina bar, didn't it?
I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
think it did.
Are you sure?
I I could be wrong, but I thought it did. Uh,
I'm looking it up.
regardless, um, yeah, the parkour in this game is awesome, especially after you unlock the paraglider and the grapple hook. The grapple hook is much different this time. It's I keep forgetting what's the thing that Scorpion throws out. A kunai, I think it's a kunai with a rope at the end. So he just throws it in the anchor points and swings across instead of like having it pulled to him. The paraglider though is so much fun. Just it makes traversal around the area so easy, especially with all the vents in the area. And after you upgrade it, you get a free boost that will not only increase your speed, but you could be just going down, 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 activate that boost, and it gives you a little slight lift back up into the air if you need to go a little higher. So that's really useful. I recommend finding those if you can, the military tech to upgrade that.
You know,
Uh,
I just upgraded the glider like right before I went into the last mission, so it was
mhm,
kind of pointless because like I beat the game. Like, there's a lot more stuff coming out. I'm probably done with it for now. Like, I'll go back in the future and do side quests and stuff, but for now, the next few months, I'm probably done with it. And so, like, the fact that it took me so long to finally upgrade it, and then I did it, and I literally like used it to fly to the start of the last quest, where it's like, hey, there's no going back, point of no
mhm.
return.
Yeah, I've put a lot more time into this than you have because it's my job and everything. And really, I think I'm done playing it out of enjoyment too. I'm really only gonna be booting it up to hit any guides. Some Easter eggs are starting to come out that people are finding, which the first game had a lot of these as well, and it's a lot of fun finding those. But yeah, I'm to a point where I found all of the inhibitors in the game, and there's not enough so that you can max out both your health and your stamina at the same
No
time.
way. No
Nope.
way.
And because yeah,
Wow.
both are they max out at level 26. If you have been evening out your health and stamina like I was, my stamina is at like 22 and my health is at 20. So yeah, there's
That's a
no
lot.
way.
I'm at like 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
just sprint forever? Like, climb
for a
forever?
while. Yeah. I mean, it's so easy because you just run, and if I start getting low on stamina, I just jump off a zombie into the air, pull out my paraglider, and find a vent because the vents automatically
Yeah,
uh,
regen it.
regenerate. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of disappointing to me after I had been putting so much time into finding all that stuff that I can't actually max them out. But they'll probably add more at some point. The parkour stuff is really fun. I'm really close to maxing out all of the skill tree on that end. The combat, I'm not that far on. I have probably like 8 more to do. Um, the combat just I'm not that a big fan of it at all. I really just think it's not a good and fun combat system. It's
I
fine and it
so
gets by, but
for me, I don't mind the combat, but at the same time, I've unlocked combat skills where I use them once and I never use them again because it's like I don't remember the buttons for them. I just kind of ignore them. I just run in and hack and slash. I just keep hitting the right trigger, keep healing myself, keep like
mhm.
parrying them, blocking them, dodging them. I'm not finding myself using any of those combat skills I have unlocked. So
Yeah. Well, even the ones that I do use, they're not that effective. Like the ground pound thing, you hit the ground and there's a shockwave that goes out. It doesn't do much. And I'm just like, oh, well, why am I doing this then? Why am I going through the effort of getting above them and jumping on them to hit them if it like only stumbles them for a second? Like that's just not enough to me. Yeah, just the combat I don't think it's special. A lot of people complained about Ocarina of Time because it was this whole system where you just had to sit and wait for the opportunity to attack them, and that's what Dying Light 2 is. It's okay, they're parrying, wait for them to drop it. Okay, now they're coming at me, so I can parry them. All right, now I'll strike them a couple times. Oh, they put up their guard again. I better wait. Okay, now let's attack again. It's just that over and over again. It's nothing special.
yeah. One more thing we should talk about before going into story spoilers is we should talk about the weapons. So like there are a lot of weapons, but at the same time it feels like there are not a lot of weapons. because they all feel very samey to me. And the only thing differentiating them is you have your melee weapon or you have your bow and arrow, right? And
Hmm.
the only thing differentiating all your like one-handed melee weapons or two-handed melee weapons are the mods. And I found myself not really using the mods all that much throughout the game. Um,
Yep.
I found myself to be like leveled pretty evenly with everybody I came across without any mods. Like now, don't get me wrong. If I was going in my menu and equipping a new weapon, I was seeing if I had a mod available or if I could craft one to put on it. But if I couldn't, I just like didn't really care. And the only time I would put a mod on is if I had a weapon I really really liked and I didn't want it to get destroyed, because you can't repair any weapons in this game, which is honestly to a fault. That kind of sucks. I feel like any game with this kind of crafting system should have the ability to repair it in some way. But the only way to kind of repair it is by equipping a new mod, and you can only add 2 or 3 mods per weapon. So as soon as you're done with that, it's the weapon's gone forever once it breaks. So
Hmm. Yeah, I when I went through the story, I probably modded 4 times the entire game, and that's it. Which
yeah.
sucks because modding weapons is like one of my favorite things from Dead Island and Dying Light 1 because they have some really cool. I mean, they're nothing special. It's just usually elemental stuff, fire, electricity, poison, and that's
Hmm.
here too. But the way that they implemented it, you have to buy the mods from the store, and then I just feel like finding the necessary items to craft to actually mod your weapons is a little harder this time around. Maybe I wasn't doing it enough, but I just never felt the need
No,
to.
I don't think so, because I was like looting everything and it seemed like I could barely craft any of the mods.
Yeah. So yeah, it just never. Yeah, modding just wasn't really a thing for me. I found this really nice two-handed axe that I've been using, and when it got down to like half health, I modded it because I wanted to keep it longer to put it back up at full health. And now it's getting low on health again, and I'm like, I don't want to use it at all now because
Yeah.
I love this weapon so much. I don't want it to break. As for bows and arrows, man, I could not find a single bow that was worth any time in this
No,
game.
no, no, no. You would shoot. It would take probably 10 arrows just to like kill like,
A normal zombie.
yeah, exactly, and you could shoot him in the head all 10 times.
Hmm.
Yeah, the bows were hot garbage in my mind. Now
Yeah,
maybe I just wasn't using it right. I don't know. Maybe there's like some mods I should be putting on it. I
there.
don't
Well,
know.
it might also depend on how your armor is because there's a kind of class system in the armor now. There's ranger, there's medical, there's brawler, and tank. But there's so few bows and stuff in this game. I was like, I don't want to use the ranger stuff ever. I always stuck with medical or tank, sometimes brawler. Yeah, bows and arrows were
Question:
just go ahead.
How come Lawan has a crossbow and we can't find a crossbow anywhere in the game?
There is so if you do the upgrades with the peacekeepers give you a crossbow.
Oh, that's good to know. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
probably never do it, but
I mean,
good to know.
you're just kind of shit out of luck though, because like me, you were giving them to the survivors, right? So you
Yep,
don't get a crossbow.
exactly. But
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's, I don't
yeah,
know.
I have not found a single crossbow in the game besides that.
Like I
So
think of all the weapons, like let's say I found 100 weapons through the game, right? Honestly,
mhm,
probably more. I think maybe 5 of them were bows the whole time I played the game, which is
yeah,
like pretty
and none of
telling
them were
on.
good.
It's pretty telling on like where they think you should be, like what they think you should be
Mhm.
using in the game.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a melee game. To the point where there are no guns in this game except for a side gun that you can craft, and it's just not that great either. So
See, I
yeah,
didn't even know that there were any guns in the game.
yeah. The only it's an accessory. It's called the boomstick. From what I saw of it, pretty much all it does is push enemies away.
Yeah.
Damage
Well,
does
I
so
mean,
little.
that's gonna do it for our spoiler-free review. That's pretty much all we have to say about the gameplay. I guess you could say gameplay, weapons, whatever.
Hmm.
But now we're just gonna talk about the story for to wrap up this review. Um, so yeah, spoilers incoming if you care about them. All
All
right,
right.
John. You trying to tell me that Mia was alive the whole time just to fucking die?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, she's been sick the entire time. She's been in a bed the entire time for what 15 years or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Since Aiden left her.
yeah, yeah. She's been just sick in bed. She's not actually his sister. She
Yeah,
was just a
that
very dear friend.
I don't understand that. So like he's just like, "Oh, that's my sister." It's like, "No. No, buddy, it wasn't." Like
No,
how old was he 15 years ago? He was like 8 or 9, right?
he looked like he was like 8 or 9. Yeah.
There's no way you
So
wouldn't.
yeah, he they write it away like his conversation with Waltz there, where Waltz reveals that Mia is his daughter. He's like, "You really don't remember anything." Okay, well, why doesn't he remember anything? They don't say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like all they go
yeah,
ahead.
all they had to do is have Walt say like, "Oh, wow, like that test or whatever we did on you actually worked and you don't remember anything." Like that's all they
Yeah,
had to do to explain it. But no, like
it's
they're
just,
just like,
oh, you don't remember anything? Okay, that's convenient.
yeah, well, let me tell you whatever I want. Mia
Yeah,
is your mother. Like anything. But
yeah,
yeah,
it could have been anything. Yeah, so stupid, man.
yeah,
Yeah, Mia, you talk to her at the end, maybe 2 sentences, and
yeah.
then she passes out. And then you get your big two choices. There's, do you stop Lawan from blowing herself up and destroying the rocket, but then the rocket goes and destroys Villador, or do you just let it happen? So we did take different sides on
Well,
this, I think, right?
hold on. So the two options are what you said. Lawan sacrifices herself to blow up the rocket so that the rocket doesn't come destroy Villador. The
Hmm.
other option is to save Mia, right? And so,
Mm, I
uh,
don't.
isn't that right?
Give me a second. I don't think it's Save Mia. There's like nothing about Save Mia. It's like just it's Save Lawan
Oh, save
or
Lawan, or okay,
something else.
or she blows up sacrifices
Yeah,
herself.
yeah. Just let her sacrifice herself. That's
Okay,
what it is.
all right.
Yeah.
So we chose the same option, John. Right?
Did we? No,
Yes.
I saved her.
Oh, you saved Lawan.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
I let the rocket blow up the city.
Okay, so what happened at the end of that
Okay.
after you talked to Waltz?
Yep. So talking to Waltz, Lawan's like, okay, I've got this bomb here. I'm gonna blow it up, but I have to sacrifice myself. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be a hero. I'm gonna save everyone in the city. And then Aiden, when you choose this option, he's like, no, I can't let you do this, Lawan. And then it does the thing like, oh, are you really sure? And you're like, no, really, I
Yeah.
want to go save Lawan. So then you go on a sprinting mission to go find Lawan. You have to get to her within 2 minutes. When you reach her, Aiden starts to turn into his like monster form, and he like grabs her by the throat and picks her up, and he's about to rip into her. But then he drops her, and because he loves her, and he just like kind of backs away. Then he sees the bomb's about to go off. He picks her up, and then he jumps out of the silo because he's got the super strength and speed and everything. So you take her out. She's safe. The rocket goes off and destroys Villador. Pretty much everyone's dead. And then it just that there's a cutscene at the end where Spike, who's a pilgrim from the beginning of the game, walks into the fish canteen, a bar that you've been in quite a few times through the story, and he's talking with the barkeep. I don't remember his name. I don't remember them ever saying his name, but he's apparently an important figure in this game. Uh, and he's like, huh, not many people here around. He's like, oh, half the city's lying under rubble. He's like, okay, well, I have a package for Jack Matt. In my game, Jack Matt was dead. So he's like, oh, well, he's dead. Don't worry about it. Then he's like, okay, any of my kind come here? Oh, a pilgrim? Yeah, he was here, but he left. He's like, well, why'd he leave? Oh, because he was taking some drug that was destroying himself.
Yep.
The end. Joel, how did the game end for you?
Okay, so the way the game ended is I chose to let Lawan blow up the missile and save the city, right? And at that point, I grabbed Mia, ran out of the missile, whatever we were in, the X-13, whatever that location's called, And for some so Waltz is still alive when this is happening, and he just stays there. Like, you don't turn around, kill him, make sure he's dead, nothing. He's
Hmm.
just like he's just there, and he's like just pretty much admitting defeat, which is weird. I thought, like, for a guy that's like that batshit crazy in the game, you would think that he would like run away or try and get out something. But anyway, I grabbed Mia, ran out. Lawan's like, as I'm running through the tunnel leaving, Lawan's saying oh, like, I wonder if Juan's, whiskey is still at the fisheye. Like, have a drink for me. Like, and then she's saying, like, you think I'm gonna blow up like a firework? Like, what color do you think I'd be? Red? I want it to be awesome. And then like the radio starts cutting out, and then obviously huge explosion behind me. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, Luan's dead. And
Yeah.
then it goes to I think after that, like, I kind of just lay Mia down on the ground, and then it kind of just like pans away, and then it tells you like what all your choices did, right? Like a black screen pops up and tells you in white text, like, it'll say, like for mine it says, Aiden decided to save Villador instead of Luan. And then like the next one was said Hakan saved Lawan and got her out of the silo just in time. And so she still lived.
Yeah,
So it's
but they
like,
don't show her or anything, right?
yeah, yeah, no, they don't show her anything. So it's like, clearly in my game, because Hakan was still alive, because you were telling me that there's a side quest or something where if you go to the church, you can kill Hakan.
Yep.
So I'm curious if that happens, if she still lives in any way, if Hakan is dead already at that point in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. So in my game, my Hakan was still alive as well. But he was more angry at me than he was in your game.
Yeah.
Uh, so in my game, when I was running for Lawan, I randomly got a radio from Hakan. He says, "Aiden, I've got your sister." They're never mentioned again. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know what happened to Hakan. They're never mentioned
Oh,
at all.
never again. Okay, because all right. So yeah, that's weird. Like that Hakan, I don't know. Maybe that's what happens either way. You save one person, Hakan saves the other. But what happens if Hakan's already dead? Who's saving them? I don't know. But so yeah, in the bar scene at the end, what was his name? I forget. Spike.
Yeah, Spike.
Yeah, he shows up in the bar. There's a bunch of people in the bar because Villador's not blown up or anything. He talks to the bartender. Um, asks the bartender essentially the same stuff you did. Um, and then he says he was taking some drug that was ruining his body.
Hmm.
And then it shows Aiden just walking through a field like away from the city.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it.
That's it. Just no matter what choice you make, Mia is dead, and Aiden leaves the city
Oh,
alone.
oh, here's another thing. So the bartender told Spike in my game, said, yeah, like he saved the city, talking about Aiden's like, yeah, he saved the city and made it out with his sister. Oh no, because Spike asked him, he's like, oh, did he find what he was looking for? Because
Hmm.
Spike knows that you're coming here to look for your sister. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, like, I heard that he saved his sister, but then she died a few days later.
Yeah.
So in my game, like, they actually say that Mia died.
Yeah. In mine, I just never heard anything about Mia again or
It
Hakan.
it's I mean, the writing in the story is just bad. Like,
Yeah.
they seemed very ambitious with the whole like make choice A or B, and like they played it up before launch to be this thing of like, it's gonna matter. It's like it's a huge deal. It's gonna matter. And then they came out saying like you're gonna have to play the game 800 hours to see everything. And
Hmm.
really, it's like, no, it doesn't really matter at all. Me,
The
me and
best.
John, me and John basically got the same ending. It's just that he run through a tunnel to get Luan, and I just
Mhm.
left.
Yep. And a lot of people died in my ending, but they
Oh, true,
didn't
yeah,
matter because I didn't know who they were.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Otherwise, we got the same ending. Yeah. Like when I left the city, there was smoke in it. That that was the big difference. Yeah, the best thing about this story is 100% the side characters. I think there are so many side characters in this game I love. Hakan is amazing. I love him. I love Lawan. My favorite characters crap, what are their names? Aglot and Nitloff. It's actually two characters from the first Dying Light's names backwards. It's like Tolga
Oh,
and
really?
Fatine. Yeah,
That's
they're
hilarious.
references to them.
That's so
But they're
funny.
only there. They're only there for one mission, and I love them because the one guy is like super smart and everything. He's like, one guy says something like, "Oh, what did the gun say? What did the bullet say to the body?" It was something like "just passing through" or something. And
Oh
then
yeah, I remember that.
Aglot's like, "Well, actually, you killed him with a melee weapon. The bullet that you said in this joke would actually be reserved for a ranged attack from a weapon." I'm like, I love this guy. I want more of him, and he just never pops up. Alberto, Vincenzo, they're really cool. There's just so many side characters in this game that are really good. But man, that main story with Mia, Aiden, and Waltz is fucking lame, man.
It
Ugh.
I remember I told you at one point, I said, what if you find Mia at the end and it turns out she's been helping Waltz this whole time?
Hmm.
And that sounds like much more interesting of a story than, oh yeah, Mia was sick. She's not really your sister.
Hmm.
Like,
At least they didn't do the thing that I thought they were gonna do at first. When I first met Lawan, I was like, "Oh my god, is that Mia?" I was like, "Oh my god, I am gonna be so annoyed if Lawan ends up being my sister at the end of this."
oh yeah, yeah. Another thing to note story wise is, yeah, like we said, they were getting really ambitious about the decisions you made,
Hmm.
and it got to the point to where, like, very early on, me and John both had the same situation where you talk to Vincenzo one place, he says something, and then you talk to him 10 minutes later at a different location, and he says the exact same thing as if he's never like met you before in his life.
Hmm.
And both times are like during a cutscene too, so it's like, what are you like? You guys, like, you're trying, but you're just failing at what you're trying to do here.
So before the game release, they were talking about how much dialogue is in this game, something like 5,000 pages of dialogue or something like that. I think I honestly think it's to a point where it became too much dialogue and they lost track of a lot of dialogue. Because I had stuff like that happen multiple times, and then I also had like a mission where like dialogue seemed switched around. Like I had to get into a room, but when I was outside the room, Aiden was like talking about what I should do inside the room. And once I got into the room, he was saying stuff that he should have said when he was outside of the room. It was like really weird. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I mean,
just
there's definitely like bugs in the game like that.
yeah,
A lot of
it's not a
bugs.
bad game. It's a good game, but
Yeah, I
uh,
would recommend it. Like, I think it's pretty
yeah,
good. I mean,
it's just
for
man, there.
me,
It's really easy to dunk on this story.
personally, like you said, playing games is pretty much your job, and then writing about them. For me to have beaten the story of a game, like, in my standards, that tells me that it's not a bad game. Like, for me, if I think a game's bad, I'm just gonna stop.
Hmm.
Like, or if I'm not enjoying it, I'm just like Deathloop, for instance. I started that, I played maybe 5 hours, said, it's not for me, I'm not a fan, and I just stopped. But yeah, I don't know, I enjoyed it. What was like, oh,
Yeah, no,
another
it's a good game.
like flaw in the whole decision making is when you get out of, I guess you could say, the prologue, which is Old Villador, the first area. um you have a decision to make. Either you help Hakan or you leave him, right?
Hmm.
When he's getting shot at by a sniper.
Yep.
um I
Who's
decide
Lawan?
I decide to help him. You left him. And so I ran after the sniper, chased the sniper down. It was Luan, and then she like pretty much told me to stay out of it and left. And then I met Luan the very next mission when I went to, the big city, and both characters are acting like we've never seen each other in our lives. Like, no reference to, oh, you're that lady that was shooting at Hakan, or, like, how do you know Hakan? None of that.
Hmm.
And so, like, that's kind of a flaw. And then you find out later that Lawan and Hakan were like dating for a long time,
Yeah,
and,
that
and
they're
we're like,
lovers.
that could have been answered previously when I was like, hey, why were you shooting at Hakan? I don't know.
So, in your game, did they like seem to make amends or something?
No, I don't
Because
think
in my
so.
game, when I met the so after that, I never saw Hakan again until the very end of the game. The
Same.
point I saw him was I was going the chase down waltz, and I came
Mhm.
into a room with a bunch of renegades, and he's there with a crossbow, and he's like,
Yeah.
and he's starting to shoot me, and then Lawan stepped in front of him and stopped him. That's what happened for you.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what happened for me.
Okay. There is some other I've talked with other people about this. There are other ways to see Hakan earlier in the game and everything. It's just it never popped up for us, I guess.
Hmm.
But like when after that fight with the renegades, Hakan and Lawan are just like kind of talking, and they're like, and he's like calling her his little bird and everything, and they don't like out say that they're back together or anything, but I just kind of got the idea that they were. But they also made it seem like at the end of the game that my Aiden was really into Lawan because they say something like he sacrificed the city. He was willing to sacrifice anything to save the one he loved. And I'm like, what? No, I never got that with Lawan. What are you talking about?
It's
We
it's
were
like,
just like
no,
friends.
it's like, no, this is just like one of the 4 people I care about in this whole game.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just really weird. I think we should call it there though for the review. Joel, if you were the score of this game, what would you give it?
I think it's a solid 7, like,
Yeah,
between a 73 and, like, a 76. So, let's say, like, 75 is what I'd give it. Like, I think that see, so, like, we were talking last night about how some people have reviewed it at, like, 6. In my head, like, just me personally, a 6 is like a game I wouldn't even touch. So, and that just
I
me
don't agree
being
with that personally, but that's
no,
just
no, I
me.
know, I understand, but like that's me being like a consumer who like I have a full time job, like I don't have time to play every
Mhm.
game. I have to pick and choose. So like for me, a 6 is just too low on my level. So I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I'd be sitting between a 6.5 and a 7. Um, just that combat really takes it down for me because that is such an important aspect of this game. It's pretty much half of the game, and I just
I
did not
mean,
love it.
isn't it the same combat as Dying Light 1 though, just with less
I
cool
don't
weapons?
maybe, and maybe that's the big problem. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's whatever the reason. I just could not get into it. I'm not saying the first Dying Light was amazing by any means, combat wise. I love that game.
it was more enjoyable though, I
It
think.
was very much more enjoyable. I think pretty much across the board, Dying Light 1 is better than Dying Light 2. That doesn't mean I don't like Dying Light 2. I still enjoy this game, but I would rather go back to Dying Light 1 or Dead Island before this.
Yep. Well, this has been our review of Dying Light 2. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you picking it up? Have you already picked it up? You playing it? You like it? You hate it? Let us know. And as always, stay tuned right here to Pixel Street Videos for more podcasts, unboxings, videos, and just nerd stuff. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.